Yeah, I'm live. Hey, two visas, Lord Ision. Well, sorry for the tech issues. There was third-party interference on the line. But I am so glad you're here. Oh, look, I see Kimmy's over here. Hi, Kimmy. You got here first. Yay. Well, welcome. There's Bela Claire's popping in. All right. Where's Baroness Kolobob? She going to be with us? There she is. Yay. All right, Robert Stevens, we're all coming back. Thank you, God. Mm. There's Colleen Croy. Yay. Laura M is still with us. Thank you, guys. So sorry for all of the problems here. All right. Hold on just a second. I got to close out this phone. All right. Well, welcome back. So, for those of you who weren't here a few minutes ago, our stream went down, so we're restarting it. I think most of you were here. There's Luna. Hi, Luna. Hey, Amy Radcliffe. Yay, good to see you. So, as I was saying earlier, I've been doing spring cleaning and it feels so wonderful. And I'm going to a minimalist lifestyle, except in my altar room where I'm going to have all my toys. But the rest of my house is going to be sleek and streamlined and open and light. It's going to be very, very nice. So I will share with you as we go along all about that journey as well. Well, this is so good to have you here. Well, you know, I wanted to do a little reading tonight from Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary, one of my favorite books. If you don't recognize the cover, this is an old cover from 1988. The cover today is done all in green and has a little person sitting among herbs. I like both covers, but this is the original cover that I remember when I first learned about the book. So um, I have this in my collection. You know, I've always said if I don't have a single other Wiccan book, I swear I think this book gives me everything I need, you know? So, yay. Hi, Melinda. Well, you're not late because we just restarted the stream. My earlier stream went down, so you're here just in time. Yeah, there's Sherry Draws. Hi, Sherry. Welcome. Yeah, there's Colleen Croy. Luna's here. Luna, it would be better if things were a little smoother today, but you know what we're getting through. And having you here makes it nice. Thank you for being here. Well, you know, as I was saying earlier, for those of you who weren't here, say Bob is in his Wiccan mode today. I've been working all day. I've been doing readings. Thank you to all you who call for private readings. If you've called for a private reading, I have a little backlog. I will get to you. Just be patient. I've been doing psychic readings. I've been scheduling readings. And I've been working on my house, putting together new furniture. That's always fun. So can you imagine saying Bob trying to use tools and put together furniture? I'm telling you, it's something. But I got a chair put together today. And Baroness Kolobob was just like, I can't believe you got a chair put together by yourself. And I did. Anyways, I'll show you all of that later on in the next week or so. But thank you, Luna. It's going to get better. You guys are here. Anyways, I thought we'd do a little reading from this book tonight, you know. This is called The Song of the Goddess. And you know, in Wicca, we believe that there's a great goddess. And we like to say in Wicca that, you know, Wicca teaches that the goddess is awakening again. She's returning to the earth. For the last 2,000 years, there was a real effort, at least in the Western world, to banish the goddess. With the rise of the Christian church, they made it illegal to worship the goddess in many places. And so when humanity lost the connection to the goddess, you know, they lost part of themselves. See, I believe that the divine and humanity interconnect and reflect each other. You know, in the spiritualist church, we used to always say, as above, so below, as below, so above. What that means is that everything here is a reflection of everything over there in spirit. And everything in spirit is reflected here in this reality. So here we have male and female energies throughout the whole planet. And that means that God and Goddess exist. Our divine parents are also male and female. So this reading from this book is called Song of the Goddess. And I thought we'd have a little reading here. How do you guys like this? Is that okay? All right. So, and this is again taken from Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. If you've not read any Wiccan books, I recommend it. And for those of you who are members of the Order of the Brown Star, this is a book you want to get. Okay. All right. So let's read this together, shall we? By the way, do you like my witch attire I'm wearing? How do you like my witch hat? I got to put some starch in my hat. It keeps falling over. They make Viagra for hats. All right. All right. So, Song of the Goddess. All right. You guys ready for this? Thank you. God bless you. Queen Kolobab says, so happy I will be able to truly meet and greet all of you. I wish you'll feel way better. I'll talk to Raphael so he can wrap you in a green light. Big hugs. Thank you very much, Luna. That's very kind of you. Thank you. All right, Song of the Goddess. And this is written from the perspective of the goddess speaking to us. So just sit back and kind of just think about this. Be open to it. Even if you've never considered that divinity could be female, just for tonight, consider it, okay? All right. Song of the Goddess. I am the great mother, worshipped by all creation, and existed prior to their consciousness. I am the primal female force, boundless and eternal. I am the chaste goddess of the moon, the lady of all magic. The winds and morning leaves sing my name. I wear the crescent moon upon my brow, and my feet rest among the starry heavens. I am mysteries yet unsolved, a path newly set upon. I am a field untouched by the plow. Rejoice in me and know the fullness of youth. I am the Blessed Mother, the gracious Lady of the harvest. I am clothed with the deep, cool wonder of the earth and the gold of the fields heavy with grain. By me the tides of the earth are ruled. All things come to fruition according to my season. I am refuge and healing. I am the life-giving mother, wondrously fertile. Worship me as the crone, tinder of the unbroken cycle of death and rebirth. I am the wheel, the shadow of the moon. I rule the tides of women and men and give release and renewal to weary souls. Though the darkness of death is my domain, the joy of birth is my gift. I am the goddess of the moon, the earth, and the seas. My names and strengths are manifold. I pour forth magic and power, peace and wisdom. I am the eternal maiden, mother of all, and crone of darkness, and I send you blessings of limitless love. Whew! I gotta just stop and absorb that for a minute, huh? Now that's some deep wisdom there. You know, no matter how many times I read this book, I always discover something like it's the first time. And I know I've read that before in the past, but Every time I open this book, something seems new, and I feel like, wow, I just heard that for the first time. So that's Song of the Goddess, taken from Scott Cunningham's Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. You've got to get this book. I love it. I'm not being endorsed by Scott Cunningham uh, or the publisher. It's published by Llewellyn Publisher. So what do you think of that? Does that speak to you? Do you feel the spirit there? Because see, this is what Wicca is about. Wicca is about getting back in touch with that inner knowing, being back connected to the ancient gods, the great mother. I think, Laurie Cabot said it in one of her books. I think it was Laurie Cabot, or it might have been Starhawk. I think it was Starhawk, actually. And she said that the disconnection of the earth from the goddess has created the environmental crisis that we see today. Because people lost their connection of reverence, all of the earth became imbalanced. And they said that, because there's a big feminist movement, a lot of women are worshiping the goddess. But they said men too must have the goddess. And for men, because they have lost their connection to the great goddess, they've become so disconnected from their inner selves. Starhawk said that every man on earth needs healing because without the goddess, they are not whole in their heart. I actually believe that's true. And I have a bumper sticker somewhere in my cleaning. I've put everything up. I'll find it. But it says born again pagan. And I love that because, where I live in Virginia, there's a lot of Christian conservatives, and no offense to Christian conservatives, but a lot of them go around wearing T-shirts and having bumper stickers said born again Christian. And I thought, I want us to have one that says born again pagan, because I feel like through my connection to Wicca and through the goddess, I've been born again on a soul level, So that's how I feel about it. There's Kendra Divine Purpose. Hey, Kendra, good to see you. It's good to see you. Kendra, I'd love to talk to you sometime. Can you give me a phone call? Let me give you my number. I need to talk to you about something. I think you'll find it fascinating, but I want to talk offline. My phone number, if Kendra, if you can write down, 703-825-3929. In fact, let me put my number. This is my office line. I only call this number for anybody can call this number, but Kendra, this is for you to call me. I do need to talk to you. You've been on my mind. All right, there's my phone number. Now, everybody in the chat, you're welcome to call that number. That's a business line, but for everybody else, that's for readings only. But Kendra, I need to talk to you about something private. So call me at that number. And let's try to talk in the next few days if you can. I'd love to catch up with you. It's so funny. You were on my mind recently, and here you are. So welcome. There's Billy Myers here. Here's Nicole Villarreal. Hey, Nicole, good to see you. Colleen Croy has a good question. By the way, if you guys want to ask Wiccan questions, tonight's all about Wicca Q&A. So I'm doing that. So Colleen asks a question. She says, is the goddess and Mother Mary one and the same? Well, Colleen, it depends on who you ask. The Catholics will say no, but some of the Wiccans will say no also, but some of the Wiccans will say yes. I happen to be one of the Wiccans who say yes. The goddess and Mother Mary are the same. If you study the life of Christ, he and his mother are so interconnected. And I do believe the Catholic Church is right when she says from the cross, he gave Mary as the mother of the whole world. Because in the cross, Jesus said to St. John, he said, here is your mother. Okay. Now, many gospel analysts will tell you that St. John, the apostle, represents the common man, everybody. So when he gave his mother, said, please take her into your home, which John did. He kept Mary, took care of her after his death because St. Joseph had already died. I believe it represented that she was the mother of the whole world. I think the Catholics are right on that. And if you study the Catholic Mariology, Mary's apparitions around the world really point to divine power. So I do believe that she's the goddess, and I worship Mary as a form of the goddess. So I have her throughout my house. I have statues of her, and I pray to her. To me, the goddess can take many forms. I worship Isis as my predominant goddess, but I have Mary, and I worship, Kali Ma. I love Erzoli Dantur, the voodoo goddess, the dark goddess. All the goddesses. Well, there's a saying, all the goddesses are one goddess. So I say, people ask me, well, can I honor Mary as my goddess? I say, absolutely. Now, I will tell you, there are some Wiccans who say you can't do that they don't like that. But honestly, it doesn't matter. To me, if you actually study the phenomena of Mother Mary, she has divine power. Catholic Church said that she ascended into heaven at the moment of death. Instead, she started to just go into sleep, and then she rose into heaven. Instantly, her body was taken up, just faded from sight. I believe that's true. Kendra Divine Purpose says, so I just asked for help to remove what I guess is black magic that was put on me. And they said, go to Bob. And then you were right here. Well, Kendra, listen, I'm going to help you. I'll do that offline with you. So call me, and I want to talk to you privately. I don't want to get into that because I have a lot to explain to you about that. But if you can call me, I'll talk to you about that, okay? And, I need to talk to you about some other stuff too. So please call me, okay? And don't worry, no charge for that, okay? Because I need your help as well. All right. So we'll definitely talk. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you're here. Well, by the way, Kendra, and for anybody else that's new here, we don't do black magic at this channel. This channel is about the light side of Wicca. Wicca is about healing magic, about connecting to the divine feminine. And that's what we're about. Kendra says, Isis was my mother. Oh, isn't that lovely? I have a big statue. Fact is, I get my temple room set up. I'm going to show you my life-size Isis statue. I love that. Amy Radcliffe says, Bob, how do you keep all of that straight? Do you mean all the Wicca stuff? Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure I understand your question. But, when you love something, it just becomes infused with you. And one of the things I read years ago about Wicca is they said people start out with Wicca as their religion, but it becomes their lifestyle. And that's how it is for me. Being Wicca it's my life. I mean, I'm not like, okay, it's Saturday, I'll put on my Wiccan hat. I'm Wiccan 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, Kendra says, yes, Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene both ascended to their light body. That is absolutely true, yes. Mary Magdalene is seen as a goddess form as well. I agree. That's so cool. Yeah. All right. Your alternative says, I'm doing okay, but I think I lost on my path. Your alternative, let me tell you, if you feel lost on your spiritual path, the secret is go back to basics. I don't know if your path's Wicca, but I would say go back and start with, like, this book I read was the very first Wiccan book I read. And sometimes when I get overwhelmed and I think I can't do Wicca because all this stuff's going on, I pick up this book and it renews me. It takes me back to the early days when everything was new and exciting. And I always say, keep your path simple. Your alternative says, I started with Wiccan path, but now hoodoo. Okay. Well, to be honest, your alternative, I think that you can be an eclectic Wiccan and add hoodoo elements. I love the Louisiana hoodoo and voodoo, and I keep altars to Saint Expedite and to Ursuli Dantour, who's a voodoo goddess. But to me, when I look at this, the work around hoodoo and Wicca, I see so many similarities, So keep it simple. Go back to the basics. Figure out who your power is, and just connect to them. Maybe you have a saint or a god or goddess that you work with. Just start with a daily connection with them. Just light a candle. And you will start to renew your path, Good. I'm glad you get that. Thank you. Hi, John. Welcome back. John, our feed went down. There was some outside interference, so I'm sorry for that. But I'm glad you're back with us. Billy Meyer has this question. Says, I have a question. How come you are not called a warlock? That's a really good question, Billy. In Wicca, men and women are both called witches. So I am a witch. I'm a male witch. Warlock is an old English term, or Scottish term, actually, and it means an oath breaker. And it was actually an insult because a male witch, when they would turn against their coven, like, for example, turn them into the witch finders, they went from being a witch to being called a warlock. And so the witch finders of the day started using the term that all male witches were warlocks. But in the Scottish language, the ancient Scottish language, warlock means an oath breaker. It means somebody who has betrayed their sacred vows. So men witches, though commonly called warlocks, are actually witches. And in Wicca, we do not use the term warlock. But there are some men that are trying to claim that as their title. And I say you can call yourself what you want, but really the truth is historically, male witches were always called witches. Okay. So that's why I don't go by the term warlock. Kindred Divine Purposes. Mary Magdalene is here again, walking as the embodiment of the Divine Mother, as Jesus has ascended to the Divine Father. I believe that. Mary Magdalene is a wonderful emanation of divine feminine energy. And a lot of people have had a lot of connection and healing through her. So yes, I would agree with you on that. You know, it's interesting. People are sometimes shocked that when they ask me, well, they'll say to me or assume, well, you're Wiccan. You don't believe in Jesus then, I guess. And I say, I grew up in a Christian home. And when I became a Wicca never said I had to denounce anything. Wicca says, embrace more learning into your life. And so I do believe in Jesus as a divine master and a divine being. There are some Wiccans who are Christo-pagans, they call themselves, and they worship Jesus and Mary, or either Mary Magdalene or Mother Mary, as the god and the goddess. And they do rituals that are pagan in style, but use the deities of Christianity. I used to think you couldn't do that. I used to think that's too much blending. But the truth is, as I researched the history of Wicca, the early pagans did just do that. They would go to church on Sunday because, it was kind of like you were forced to go to church in the early days of Christianity. But then come Saturday, next Saturday night or Friday night, they'd be out worshiping the full moon. So the truth is the early Christians, at least in the Celtic Isles, did both. They were Wiccan and Christian at the same time, or pagan and Christian. So I think there are people who find power on both of the paths, and I don't have a problem with that. So, one day I was wearing a Sacred Heart badge on my shirt, and somebody came up and said, well, I thought you were a Wiccan. You're wearing a sacred. I said, well, Jesus is a form of divine Godhead to me. So I have no problem with Jesus. I'm not anti-Christian, anti-Christ, anti-anybody. I'm pro-goddess, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-earth, I'm pro-rejuvenation of divine power on the earth, whatever form that takes. So that's how I see it, Baroness Kolobob says, what am I, Bobs? LOL, you're a Wiccan. She's a Wiccan, and she's High Priestess of the Order of the Brown Star. By the way, if we have any order members here, Baroness Kolobob, what day are we having the ritual? We are having our ritual. I think it's Saturday at 6 o'clock. I think it's this Saturday, the 19th at 6. Baroness, correct me if I'm wrong. But for those of you who Order of Brown Star, make sure to join us in the ritual. I'll send out a notice tonight for that. John McMahon asks, what do you think of the term sorcerer? Well, John, sorcerer comes from the old high magic tradition. There are different branches of magical practice, and sorcery falls under actually high magic. High magic is magic based on more of a Judeo-Christian heritage of magic. And it was done by very highly educated people because they had to be able to study the texts in Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. So sorcery comes out of that. It's a more advanced, not, I don't say advanced, it's a more technical type of magic. Sorcery in some circles has the connotation of conjuring of evil spirits, but I don't think it's necessarily that because I've read some sorcery texts that are positive. My tradition is Wicca, which in Wicca is more of the folk practice, the common people's practice, and it's more nature centered. Whereas high magic is more intellectual, more scriptural and ritual centered. Whereas the magic of the witches might be as simple, for example, as going out and tossing a stick up in the air on the night of the full moon. It's very simple earth-based magics, yet it's equally powerful. Okay. Liza, hi Liza. Liza has a question. She says, does magic work better with a hat like yours? But let me tell you, it doesn't really matter whether you wear a hat or not. But do you know the history of the witch hat, Liza? Let me tell you about it. Well, the witch hat represents the Wiccan circle. The brim is the circle of the coven, and the pointed part represents the cone of power. In Wicca, when witches gather in a circle, they raise power and they send out literally like they raise power into the space to the moon or to wherever they're sending it around the earth. And it's called a cone of power. So the witch hat represents the gathering of the coven and the release of the cone of power. That's where it comes from. Isn't that interesting? So I guess if it helps me think about the cone of power, it might help me a little bit with my magic. Help me know to be focused and raise the power for sure. Your alternatives set. Oops, I just saw some. He says, I have two altars. And then further down, he says, one altar is Archangel Michael, and the other is one of Santa Muerte. Ooh, I happen to be a believer in Santa Muerte. I believe in the power of Santa Muerte. Santa Muerte is an ancient goddess. If you study the history of Latin America and South America, you'll find Santa Muerte is far older than the Catholic Church. But Santa Muerte is making a comeback all over the world. And down in Mexico and near the border in Texas, there are actually entire churches built now. Maybe you know about this, the Santa Muerte. They call temples Santa Muerte temples. And you go in, Santa Muerte, for those of you who don't know who Santa Muerte is, Santa Muerte is an ancient goddess, but she takes the form of a skeleton. She looks like the Grim Reaper, and she wears different colored robes and has a scythe. And anyway, she represents death, but she doesn't just go around killing people. She's actually a good one. She protects people. She actually preserves life. And sometimes she brings death where it's necessary. But many people worship her for protection and for blessings. And Santa Muerte goes way back to the ancient goddesses, the Aztec, pagan, I'm trying to think, Incan, way back to the goddess energies. Now, what's interesting is a lot of modern day Catholics worship Santa Muerte. And among the Latino culture in the United States, there's a whole veneration of Santa Muerte. It comes out of Mexico and now South America. And it's funny because many of the worshipers of Santa Muerte, they go to Catholic churches and they'll bring candles and try to set up little shrines. And the Catholic Church is not having none of that. They really don't like it. They try to denounce it. But it is a movement, a folk Catholic movement in the U.S. But I think that as Santa Muerte evolves, it's going to be its own full religion, a pagan religion again. So that's my thoughts. But I love Santa Muerte. I'm a believer in her. And Archangel Michael, I love him as well. The angels are powerful. You know, one of the things is many years ago, I used to be Catholic before I became a spiritualist and Wiccan. And Hi, Kendra. Okay, yeah, later tonight I should be free. Yeah, try to reach me then. Okay, I'll have the phone on. Thank you. Um, Good to see you. Thank you so much. Archangel, the angels and the saints. As I was saying, I used to be Catholic. And when I was Catholic, I used to love praying to saints. I love St. Jude. I love Mary. I love St. Expedite. Now I love St. Expedite. Um, but, when I became a Wiccan, I said, Wicca talks about the deities, the gods. And in the pagan gods, they had demigods. I think of the saints as kind of like demigods. The saints themselves don't claim to be all divine power, but they claim to be connected to it. And so I like to think of the saints as spirits, demigods that we can invoke. So, if you have a saint that you like in your Wiccan, I don't think you have to stop worshiping them or honoring them. I recently did a ritual to St. Expedite. I won't get into all the private details. I'm going to do a whole video on that, but he came through for me. And so I went recently and purchased gifts for him. There's a tradition, in particular in the voodoo and hoodoo cultures that work with the saints, that you give an offering of a gift after a prayer is answered. And I had some major prayers answered. So I'm very thankful for that. And I say, if something works for you and you like it, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Amy Radcliffe says, I'm curious about Wicca, but I'm more into the spirit world, one thing at a time. Well, Amy, I started out as a spiritualist, and my whole life was about being into the spirit world. Then I discovered Wicca, because when I was doing readings, people said, you are the coolest witch. I used to be offended. I said, what do you mean a witch? I'm a spiritualist. And so I went, finally, I had to find out. This was in the days before internet was, everywhere. And there was a bookstore up at the shop that I worked at. And I went upstairs to this bookstore and I went in and I said to the girl that worked at the counter, I still remember clear as day. I said, this is like 20 some years ago. I said, do you have any books on, I was like scared to say, I said, witchcraft. And she says, oh, you mean like Wicca, witchcraft? I said, yeah. She said, we have a whole section. I was like shocked because I didn't know this was even out there. And this was the very first book I ever got was Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary. So I bought, she said, here's some cool books. This one might be of interest to you. So I bought this book and I took it home and I literally read it within 2 days. I just started reading it. And this is why I love this book, because it makes it so clear and easy to understand. You feel like Scott Cunningham's in the room talking to you. And I was like, this is amazing. And so it started me down the Wiccan path. I actually do both. I'm a spiritualist and a Wiccan, because to me, both religions can dovetail. As a Wiccan, Wiccans do readings as well. A lot of Wiccans do tarot readings, crystal readings. Some do channelings. I happen to be a spiritualist in my training, so I channel readings. But it works with Wicca because Wiccan witches have a tradition of doing readings as well. So to me, it's both, Robin Boston said, yes, it's Saturday. Robin, are you going to be able to be at our ritual? I hope you'll be there with us. We're going to do a no star ritual. By the way, guys, for those of you who are curious, the Order of the Brown Star is a Wiccan order that I have founded. Right now, we're not taking more members. It's a closed order. Everybody that has applied has been reviewed and accepted. So we will do next fall, probably another recruitment. This time, as the Order of the Purple Cord, was an open order. I just let everybody join. I found that wasn't the best way to work. It created a lot of problems. And so now my order is going to be very, very limited and very small. So we have a small order, but each year we'll open up to people who want to be considered for recruitment. So right now it's not going to be an open ritual. It's a private ritual. So I hope I won't offend anybody, but it's the way I have to do. The Order of the Purple Cord is in dormancy now due to some really terrible things that happen. I still own the order and control it, but it's not an active order at this point. And we've reconstituted a new order, the Order of the Brown Star. And we'll We'll talk more about that. Okay. Billy Myers says, Bob, I heard that the eight-pointed star is older than the Earth herself. Yes, in fact, Billy, the eight-pointed star goes way, way back, even to ancient Babylon. It was considered the star of the goddess Ishtar, who later became the goddess Isis. Ishtar and Isis kind of blended. And the eight-pointed star is the sign of the goddess Ishtar from ancient Babylon, as well as the goddess Isis. So yes, it's very, very ancient. Goes way, way back. And might I add, very powerful too. It's funny because in the magical world, there are a lot of magical stars. So there's the five-pointed star, which is the pentacle or pentagram. See right there on my hat? There's a 5-point star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then there's a six-pointed star, which is over here. See, that's got 6 points. So the five-pointed star is claimed by the Wiccans as their symbol. The six-pointed star is used by Jewish people or people who do Kabbalistic magic. Then there's the seven-pointed star, which is the fairy star. And then there's the eight-pointed star, which is used by the followers of Ishtar and Isis, as well as the Order of Melchizedek claims the eight-pointed star. So yes, there are a lot of different stars, and they're all powerful. John McMahon says, thanks. Never knew that, Bob. We tend to have druids here. Druids and Wiccans are very similar in many ways. I think we're all doing the same work to restore the earth and bring magic back, Stardust C says, hi, Amy Radcliffe. I'm with you. I'm more learning about the spirit world. Once I learn about that, then I'll try Wicca. You don't have to do Wicca, I tell people, follow one path and really get to know it, and then you expand. If you try to take everything on at once, you'll get overwhelmed. Liza says, I'm from Mexico. Mostly the narcos worship Santa Muerte. Yes, I believe down in Mexico that is true. But here in the United States, there's a lot of families. It's more of it's kind of become mainstream here among a lot of Hispanic community and Latino community to worship Santa Muerte. No, but you are right. It's got a bad reputation in some parts of Mexico. Yeah. Baroness, are you leaving us? Well, welcome. So good to have all of you here. Billy Meyer has a good question. Yes, Bob, is it true that magic is actually a form of science? I would say so. I always say that the occult mysteries of today are the science of tomorrow. So I would say yes. Your alternative says, fun fact, Santa Muerte, it's become a newly fast religion, kind of like how Wicca started. I think you're right about that because I'm seeing it like grow, and it's like I read an article about the entire churches are like temples of Santa Muerte. They hold rituals, and there's new priests of Santa Muerte and priestesses now. I think it's kind of cool. You know what I say? Anytime the goddess is rising, get out of the way and just let her do her thing. The goddess is awakening, and she takes a lot of forms. And I personally believe Santa Muerte is a form of the goddess. Amy Radcliffe just says, Bob, you should see my library of books. I have a few Wicca books. Awesome. Read all you can. For those of you especially want to study Wicca, read everything you can because there's so much out there to learn. and you'll get a lot out of it. Yay, Robin's going to be with us on Saturday. Thank you, Robin. God bless you. Thank you, Amy. Amy says she loves my classes. By the way, speaking of classes, thank you for reminding me. For those of you who are interested, you might want to join our Saturday class. This Saturday, I'm teaching a class called The Mechanics of Mediumship. And we're going to help people learn how to connect to spirit, how to do message work. If you've been saying, how do the mediums do that? They go up and they can instantly start talking to people. Well, we're going to work on that and do some mechanics of mediumship this Saturday. The Saturday psychic class is limited to 30 people. So if you want to get in, you need to sign up like soon because we fill up. Where are we getting a lot for this class? It's $30, but it's 2-hour live class. It's going to be held on Zoom. And if you register for the class, you can pay for it over at my website. It's all automated. You'll see in the listing of services, you'll see psychic development class. It's $30. Just click the PayPal button, put in your card number, and it's all done. And it will send me your name, and I'll put you on the list. And on Saturday, I will send out the link for people to join the class. Okay. So about a half hour before the class, but it's a 2-hour class from 12 p.m. Eastern till 2 p.m. So it's only $30. Now listen, where else? And I'm not trying to sound self-aggrandizing, but the truth is, where else are you going to get 2 hours one-on-one training with one of America's top psychics for only $30? I'm really giving it away. Now I could make a lot more money. I could charge $100 a person and people would pay for it. And be happy to come. But I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to help people. You know, my training as a spiritualist, as a psychic, I got at a very affordable rate many years ago. And I was very poor, very struggling. And it was a sacrifice for me even to come up with the money. This was like 30 years ago. And my classes then were $15 a session. And I thought that was a lot of money back then. And really it wasn't, but for me it was. But I'm glad I invested. So I'm trying to keep the costs low so that people can be here. But it's a live session. You can interact with me and ask questions about your psychic development. It's not a class for me doing readings for you. It's to work on, we're going to do exercises, talk about where you're struggling, and I will personally help you with that. So you're not going to get, anybody's going to give you that much time for that lower price. So I think it's worth your time if you want to develop your psychic gifts to come out and join that. It's an open class. You just come Saturday as you can. You don't have to buy a block of classes. In fact, don't try to buy a block because I won't be able to keep it straight. Just buy week to week as you want to come. Because a lot of people, they'll come one week and then they're busy for a week. Then they'll come another week. And that's fine with me. I make every class so that you can just come right in and start wherever we are. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, John, unfortunately, the Order of the Purple Cord had some really bad stuff going on. And for legal purposes, I had to get attorneys involved. So we've been advised to close down the order. I still retain the control of the order. It's in dormancy, what we call it. It's not ended. So the copyrights of the names and the imagery and all that, I still retain. And nobody can create a new order because it's a breach of copyright. But it's unfortunate. There were, well, just in a nutshell, there were people doing black magic in the order, which broke our rules. And they were creating a lot of problems for a lot of people. Anyways, I won't go into all that. Well, anyways, guys, listen, we've been on here a while and it's already 8 o'clock. I don't know where the hour goes, but I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. I hope that tonight you've enjoyed this, and thank you for your support. Hi, Sandra. Good. We'll see you on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Yay. Yeah, I hope you can be there, Robert. Thank you. Luna, I may start in the fall a Wiccan class for people that may be interested in joining the order. We'll do an intro to Wicca class, and then from there people can be considered for the order. So we will probably have some classes in the fall, probably starting around September, October. Okay. Oh, Baroness, you just extended to Luna a membership. Okay. Well, we'll have to talk about that. Luna, get in touch with Cola. Okay. Amy, your sister. Amy says, I watch other psychics to see how they work. I want to grow up and be like Bot and Bob, my hero. LOL. Ah, Amy, you're sweet. Don't be like me, just be you. If you let spirit work through you, you'll be the best psychic. You know, you will be. Well, listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you for being here. Listen, keep it here, Spirit Chump. Tomorrow's Thursday. We're going to do live rune readings. So we're going to see what the runes have. Come out and join us. I hope you'll be with us then. 7 o'clock, same time as this show, 7 p.m. Eastern. Join us for live rune readings. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Well, guys, Psychic Bob loves you. And may all of you always, what do we say? Blessed be.